Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to tell you about some of the series that I am currently reading. I've been meaning to make this video for quite a long time. This is actually going to be a series of videos about series. I've already done the first video in this series. I did it at the end-ish of last year, and it was about the series that I have DNF'd or decided not to finish. As I've mentioned before, I am in the middle of quite a lot of series. I updated all of these lists last night that I have, and I am currently, right now, in the middle of 34 series. I have been using a spreadsheet that was created by a blogger named Kristi. I use this spreadsheet to track the series that I'm in the middle of, the ones that I've decided to DNF, the ones that I have completed reading. The spreadsheet also does some like math for me as well. I will link that spreadsheet down in the description box. I also use another spreadsheet of Kristi's, which is a spreadsheet just to track all of the books that you're reading, which I mentioned in my like statistics video from 2017 because I used that spreadsheet to make all of those graphs and stats that I shared in that video. I really like her spreadsheets. I know that there are other bookish spreadsheets out there that other people use, but these are the two that I use. Anyways, going back to series, like I said, the spreadsheet does some like stats and stuff for you, and some of you might be wondering how I got to be in the middle of 34 series. Let me tell you. So I started tracking my reading closely at the end of 2014 when I joined the online bookish community and started my blog. In 2014, only really counting the end of the year, I started 3 series, and then in 2015, I started 20 series, but between DNFs and finishing series, I ended up with adding 11 series to my currently reading list. And then 2016, I also started 20 series and somehow ended up with adding 11 series to my currently reading list. So that right there already is like 25 series. And then in 2017, I did a little bit better because last year I was trying to not start new series and I only started 13. And I ended up adding a total of 7 series by the end of the year. And that adds up to about 32 series. So at the beginning of this year, I was sitting at being in the middle of 32 series. As you can see, over the past like 3 years, 2015, I started 20 series. In 2016, I started 20 series. And then last year, I started 13 series. I have a serious problem with starting series. And so one of my many goals for 2018 was to finish more series and to like cut down on the number of series that I'm currently reading. And let me tell you, I am totally failing at that so far this year. I've started something like 5 or 6 series this year. Luckily, I've also finished 2 series. So I'm really going to put myself on a series starting ban for the rest of the year and try not to make as many exceptions as I have been. Okay, so now that we've gone through some of the statistics about how I got to this place, like I said, I have 34 series that I'm currently in the middle of. I want to talk about all of them, and so I've organized them into a way that I can split it up into 3 videos. So the series that I'm going to talk about today are all series that are completely published and that I only have 1 book remaining to finish them. So the reason why I'm clumping these together is because these are kind of my high priority series to finish because they're all series that I just have to read 1 more book to finish and, you know, I'm not waiting on any other books. So these are what I consider to be like the low-hanging fruit out of all of the many series that I'm in the middle of. I have 11 of these to talk to you about today, and I have rambled enough in this intro, so let's get into them. These are definitely not in any sort of order. I'm also going to try not to talk too much about each series or book. I'm just going to tell you the title and how many of the books I've read and like a quick idea of what I think of them so far. So first, I have the Lumatere Chronicles by Melina Marchetta. This is a young adult fantasy trilogy, and I have read 2 out of the 3 books. This series has been okay for me. This is a series that is very well loved by the bookish community. I, as a huge fantasy lover, haven't found it quite as fulfilling as I think other people have. I have a little bit of an issue connecting with the characters for some reason, but the ending of the second book definitely has me intrigued to finish the series. I don't hate it, I just don't love it, I think, as much as a lot of other people do. Next, I have Splintered by A.G. Howard. This is a YA urban fantasy that is a Alice in Wonderland retelling or inspired by Alice in Wonderland. It's actually, I think, about like her great granddaughter or something. I've read the first 2 books in this series and I enjoyed them when I read them, but it has been a long freaking time since I've read these, so I don't know when I'm gonna get to the last one, but I'm hoping to finish it up soon. I'm also hoping that I still enjoy the last one. I feel like maybe my tastes have changed a little bit since I read them, so we'll see how that goes. And then next on my list, I have the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I'm actually about to finish this one, so I probably didn't have to throw it in here, but I wanted to because I am currently reading it. I am 80% through the last book, and it is really, really good. I'm getting to the point where I don't want to put it down. There's so much exciting stuff happening. This is a series that I've loved from the beginning, and I am anticipating that the ending is going to crush me, but that I'm going to love it. Next is a duology that I'm actually kind of on the fence about. This is Burnout by Kristi Helvig. This is a YA post-apocalyptic fiction. I read the first book a few years ago. I was involved in a blog tour for the second book. I did like an author interview post, and so I read the first book at that time, but I never read the second book, which is what the blog tour was actually for. And I didn't love the first one. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was just okay. I had some issues with it. So I'm kind of on the fence about reading the second book, but I kind of want to just because it's just a duology. And like I said, I didn't hate the first one. I thought it was interesting. So if you guys have read the second book in this duology, please let me know what you thought of it and if you think it's worth reading. Next, I have The Young Elites by Marie Lu. I've read the first 2 books in this trilogy. This is a YA high fantasy. I've really enjoyed the first 2 and I'm looking forward to finishing up this trilogy soon. Then I also have The Monstrumologist by Yancey. This is a quartet and I've read 3 of the 4 books. I have been reading one of these books every October-ish for, you know, just the Halloween mood. And so I will probably be finishing the series in October or November of this year. Oh, and that is a young adult, almost middle grade, like younger side of young adult. And it's kind of historical fiction, like it's set in the colonial time period in New England, but it's kind of like an urban fantasy because there are supernatural monsters and things. Really good YA horror series. Then I have another duology and it is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know why I haven't read the last book yet. I have it. I plan to finish it very soon. But yeah, I've read the first one, haven't read the second one. Okay, next I have another one that I'm kind of on the fence about and I want your opinion, and that is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. I read the first book when it very first came out and I enjoyed it but didn't love it. I'm just kind of on the fence about reading the next one. I've heard that the second one is better than the first, so that makes me want to try it. I'm definitely not like dying to read it, but I'm interested, so if you have read the second book in the Crown's Game duology, let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section. Next I have The Monsters of Verity duology by Victoria Schwab. I've read the first book and need to read the second one. The Monsters of Verity duology is a YA like post-apocalyptic or dystopian setting, and I really enjoyed the first book and I'm definitely looking forward to reading the second one. I actually just checked this out from my library, so hopefully in the next, I don't know, 12 weeks I'll read it. And then next I have the Goldseer trilogy by Carson. This is a YA historical fiction fantasy. It's set during like the gold rush era, but there's magic in it and the main character can sense gold. I have loved the first 2 books in this trilogy and I'm really excited to finish it. And then last but not least, I have the Queen of the Tearling trilogy, which I have mentioned many times because I read the first 2 books very close together in December and I am really antsy to read the last one. This is what I would consider new adult or at least older YA high fantasy / sort of science fiction dystopian. It's a genre bender, that's for sure. But I've really enjoyed the first 2 books and I plan to read the third one soon. I mean, I plan to read all of these soon, but it's definitely higher on my list than some of the ones that I just mentioned. Okay, so there you have it. Those are 11 series that I am almost finished with. So I'm currently reading, but they are completely published and I only have 1 book left to finish them off. Like I said, these are the series that I see as being like low-hanging fruit. I am on the fence about 2 of these. That was Burnout by Kristi Helvig and The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. So if you guys have read those duologies, let me know down below if you thought the second book was worth reading. I plan to use this list a little bit like a TBR and like pick out what I'm gonna read next out of these first before I move on to like the rest of my TBR. So hopefully between doing that and trying not to start new series, I can whittle down the list of series that I'm currently reading. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bookish content. I post 1 to 2 times a week. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye. Back in like November, end of last year, around the end of last year, bleh. And it was about the bleh. And it was about the series, and it was about and it was about the series that I have decided not to finish. Blech. So let me know. So if you guys have read the second book, series about and it's historical fiction. And then last but not least, I have the Queen of the Tearling, Trilogy. So I plan to read it